here with Sarah McDonald at night of the 10,000 metre PB. Sarah, firstly, how are you? Because you had that injury, of course, kind of at the start of the year, the indoor 1500 metre PB, of course. Kind of where are you at so far ahead of the summer?
Yeah, so I'm fine now. My hamstring's in one piece. It's reattached back to normal, and I'm back doing track sessions. Just trying to work out when I'll open my season. I've got some races definitely in the middle of June, but hoping to open up at the start of June and try and get that all-important Olympic standard.
And how was the feeling of having that kind of indoor 1500 metre personal best after you mentioned you've had some pretty tough injuries, and I guess the mental side of coming back from that as well as the physical side, you know, last year as well was quite tricky?
Yeah, it was really good to come back indoors. Actually, it's the first time I've done indoors since 2019.
Yeah.
And I was actually quite disappointed with the time of 4:05 because I thought I was in a lot better shape than that, but the race just didn't allow that to happen. But yeah, it's been really good just to come back after last summer as well and like reaffirm that I'm back and like in good shape and ready to roll again.
So for anyone who doesn't really know much about your story, how did you get into kind of running and athletics, and what were the inspirations in that?
I was actually a figure skater.
Oh wow.
I got quite badly injured, had surgery, and then just used running as a way of getting fit. I realised I actually quite liked running. I went down to my local athletics club, found myself at English schools for combined events, did awfully, and then found my niche in the 800 and then went from there really.
And can you kind of believe where you are now and what you've kind of done in your careers when you first started out in the sport? But I guess you've got so many other goals that you want to achieve as well.
Yeah, no, to be honest, when I first went to university back in 2011, like I didn't really anticipate running and competing. I thought I was going to study medicine and I would just, you know, be a hobby jogger, like run as a way of like keeping sane at the same time as medicine. And then I left medicine to run professionally for a while. So it's been like a bit of a crazy journey, and like it has been a bit of a roller coaster, but I'm really glad to be back and like running these times again and like reaffirming that I can do it.
And of course you mentioned, you alluded to there, that you had the hamstring kind of injury at the British Championships indoors in Birmingham. Can you explain more about that, kind of I guess overcoming that, and where you are now into the summer?
So 300 metres to go before the line in the Birmingham Indoor Championships, I felt something happen in my hamstring. Kind of bambled my way to the finish line on one leg, the other leg not moving so great, and I'd actually split my hamstring tendon at the insertion, right at the top of my hamstring at the insertion to the pelvis really, and I had to have some pretty big treatments to try and get that better, and I'm back. I can now do a speed session. I did an 800 session yesterday, so it's really nice to be like back healthy and able to push on for the rest of the summer.
So what are the big ambitions this season then? Is it one where you are aiming, you know, to be at a kind of a major championships, or is it going to be kind of getting through this year, seeing how you go and looking at 2025?
To be honest, it's hard not to look at Paris. Like, yeah. It's been my dream since 2016. 2016 was the year I decided to like stop medicine and kind of look forwards and like try and make it happen. In Tokyo, unfortunately, my foot kind of scarpered that. So now with the support of On, hopefully look towards Paris, but if not, and like the women's 1500 is absolutely stacked.
I was going to say, what do you make of the strength in depth of just British middle distance running right now? It's arguably, I mean, people were saying it's the best since, you know, the 1980s, for example.
I think it's probably better. Like, I was trying to think of which is the hardest team to make out of the women or the men's 800 or 1500, and they're all stacked. So they are, and like every time you think it's getting better, then a new youngster comes through and it's like the next best thing. So it's really crazy actually.
How inspiring is that when you've got, you know, the likes of Laura, obviously, having done it at such a global level, but you've got people like Phoebe Gill, for example, having, you know, done what she's done over the 8 and the 15 recently, she's coming through as well. I mean, that must be so inspiring, but that also must motivate you to kind of to get to where you want to be.
I mean, Phoebe Gill is like 13, 14 years younger than me and Laura, so it's pretty crazy. But yeah, it is inspiring, and like I think people need to stop and look at how impressive Phoebe's run was. Like, she did that second lap without any help of a pacemaker and on her own at the front. Like, she looked at the bell at 56 and mustn't have been scared and just kept on going. Like, that's really impressive.
Just quickly on Phoebe, actually, before we talk about this amazing kind of event and what you've been doing with the community track club here. you know, I know people put a lot of pressure on young athletes, and we don't want to put too much pressure on, you know, someone like Phoebe at 17. But what do you think she can do if she's managed well, and you know, over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think it is hard at that age, especially as a parent of someone that's that good at that young age. Like, how far do you push? But it has to come from her. Like, if she wants to try and make that Olympic team, then I have no doubt that she can make that Olympic team. And it's just about keeping her and making sure she has the support network she needs to be able to progress in the sport, and make sure she doesn't fall out of love with it, because that can happen, and we've seen it time and time again.
And on high gates here, as we see, there's a kind of a circus act in the background already starting out. I mean, so much of this is about kind of everything. You know, it's not just the elite running and the 10,000 metre trials later on. It's about everything off the track as well, the atmosphere. You've been helping out with the community track club. How was that?
Yeah, the community track club was organised chaos, but I think it was just allowed people in the community to have a taste of what's to come later, and maybe that'll make them stick around and increase like exposure for our sport. But yeah, I think the good thing about the night of the 10,000s is that every race here feels like the Olympic trial for them, and like it gives everyone the opportunity to run as quick as they can and like feel as supported as they can. It's not as elitist as other events, and everyone gets behind it, and you can feel the atmosphere here building up, and like you can feel that in even the track club session.
And the impacts of MON and that inclusivity as well, how have they been for you as kind of a brand partner with you in your career, but also what they've done in terms of getting that community part here as well?
I really think like On have done really great things for the sport, and like they push themselves as a brand as like making themselves inclusive, and like bringing other people here to experience that. It adds a lot to the sport and brings people in to like hopefully keep them in the sport, or like maybe if they come here and see tonight or like see the next few races, maybe they'll come and support like the next BMC, or maybe they'll come to the British Champs, and maybe they'll be that person that like we might even gain a few athletes from it. You know what I mean? Like, it's so good that they do this kind of thing, and we don't see the other brands doing it and making it more innovative and like making us more exciting.
And finally, just on your view and the landscape of the sport generally, it seems there's a lot of potential change in the air. There's a lot of talk about new track leagues kind of happening over the next kind of couple of years, kind of individual meets like this kind of popping up kind of in the UK, Europe and America, for example. What's your view on where we are as a sport generally?
I think we just need to make it more exciting. Like, we need to do more of these things, because athletes like love to get into an event like this and like experience it, because we don't get to do much stuff like that. Like, it's hard to get into the Diamond League, it's hard to get into the Continental Tour Gold meets. So actually making more of that vibe elsewhere, or making it more exciting, letting people in lane 3, like letting people get behind it, having the odd smoke cannon here and there, like it really does make it better.